What is up, team? Hey, hope you guys are doing well. Welcome in to another episode of Quarantine Catch Up. I got a very special guest with me today, coming in all the way from Utah. I have Ade Jimoh with National Corporate Housing Global Account Executive there. He's got a crowd behind him. Ade, man, how are you doing?
Good, David. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. The sun is shining here in Charlotte, North Carolina, so that is something to be happy about. I appreciate you joining me, man. How's Utah treating you?
Utah is great. Thank you for inviting me. You know, we're now rolling into the fall, and every day is filled with anticipation as we want to see if all of my fantasy football teams will come to fruition or not.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. I think that's what we're most thinking about now. So yeah, awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for joining me. I was talking to you a little bit off camera before we hit the record button. What we do to kind of get this thing kick-started is we always start with the Fast Five, and that's five not so hard-hitting questions, just aimed to get to know you a little bit better. Ade, are you ready for the Fast Five?
Let me gather myself, get my chi, get everything in line.
Really high pressure.
It's high pressure. Let's do it.
All right, man. Awesome. So, okay, number one, this is a question I've asked a couple people, interested to know your answer. Number one, there is a movie being made about Ade Jimoh's life. Who is the actor that is going to play you?
Idris Elba. He's my guy.
Ooh,
He's my guy all the way.
I like it. The Brit, man. Give me your favorite Idris role.
I mean, right now, I liked him in the Hobbs and Shaw Fast and Furious because he was a bad guy.
Yeah,
I feel like he plays the bad guy very well. I think even in Jungle Book, he was the voice of Shere Khan.
Okay.
He did that one really well. He has so much charisma when he acts and a certain amount of, shall we say, swag that comes out so he can play good characters and bad characters and you still like him. Yep. So, yeah.
He's got so much range too. I think it's an old one, but a really good one. Gosh, I forgot his character's name, but were you ever a fan of The Wire?
I didn't watch The Wire. I was never a fan of The Wire. Sitcoms, I did not do like a lot of the regular, like just shows.
Yeah.
I was a movie guy. So I'm now in the age of Netflix. I'm catching back up.
All right. Well, if there's any time to catch up, now is the time. The Wire, HBO. He was a Baltimore drug dealer, and I had no idea the guy was even British. I mean, he is awesome, amazing at that. So, anyways, okay, let's move on. That's a good answer. I like that. All right, number two. I've asked this of a couple of folks as well. Interested to know what your answer would be. Not necessarily. So the question is not necessarily your favorite book that you've ever read, but what would be a book that you would give as a gift to someone? Whether you found that motivational, inspirational, something that you got a lot out of it.
The Prince, and I believe it's by Nico Machiavelli.
Oh, yeah, sure. Classic.
I love that book. For some reason, I end up reading it every year. And I've actually gifted it to a few people because I like the book. I like the understanding of strategy, your place within a certain architecture and hierarchy, and then potentially using whatever skill sets you have to either move up or explain it to other folks. The book gets me for some reason. I just read it all over like it's the first time.
Awesome. Excellent. I'm not sure if we've ever had that one before. I like that. Okay, cool. All right. Number three. All right. If anyone knows you pretty well, then they know that you are a sneakerhead. All right. And so for anyone out there that's watching this that doesn't know what a sneakerhead is, I don't know, Ade, would you just say, a sneaker enthusiast, I guess, someone that collects? There you go. You got the classic, the Jordan 11s there. Nice. Give me a quick definition of a sneakerhead.
A sneakerhead is just somebody who lives the sneaker culture, understands, appreciates, and wears them on a regular basis, follows the new releases, loves the old school styles, and somebody who just really is a sneaker fan. And that's more than just buying them. I have sneaker books at my house. When I go on business trips, I wear my Jordans on my business trips. And if I need to, I'll kick off and put on my dress shoes when I get to the meeting. But you just love everything about the sneaker culture. So I've been that way for a long
I
time.
really think that's the first time I noticed you. I think at BAM, and I looked over, and I think you're wearing a pair of Jordan 4s. I think you
Yeah,
got
I think
your
it.
4s.
Yes, I've got a lot of fours.
All
Uh,
right, all right, awesome.
I've got a lot of fours. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I kind of define myself as like a pseudo or semi sneakerhead. I might have like 12 pairs of Jordans, something like that. My wife thinks it's too much, but you're like, that's rookie ball, man. That's the that's the
I've
minor leagues.
12 is good. I counted mine the other day and I'm over 40.
Whew. All right, all right, okay. So that's a good
Yeah.
segue. All right. So question number 3: if you had to choose just one pair of Jordans, you had to wear them every day for the rest of your life, but you could only wear one. Which one would those be?
The Bread 11s.
The
Those are
11s.
those are without a doubt my favorite Jordan. I have a pair of lows. I don't have a pair of the mids, or the regular ones, and that I think is the only thing I need to make my collection
Ooh.
complete. But I can't seem to part with the money to buy another pair. Um,
So so
but
actually
I will.
I actually got those last year when they re-released. So that's one pair of
Hmm.
Jordans I might have that you do not have. So
Yeah,
pretty proud.
yeah,
Yeah. Awesome. That's
yeah.
a good shoe. I love that. And for anyone out there that's watched, it's been really popular, of course. The Last Dance, which is now on Netflix, I guess. You guys can check that out. I think it was Jordan's remind me, it was his second run, right? When he came back from the first time he retired.
Yes, it was the second run when he came back.
Yeah.
It was, and
I
when
think
it was,
he wore the Concords that season when he wore 45, right? Because he had 45 on the back of the Concords. Yeah, and then
he
the
did
next
have
year,
45 on the back of the Concords.
yeah, yeah, and then the next year he wore the 11s. Yeah, yeah, and all different colors
Yeah.
too. Okay, awesome, awesome. I love it. I love it. We could go down such a rabbit hole right now. We're gonna have to do another separate LinkedIn video just on sneakers for like the two other people in mobility that love sneakers. So we'll see. But okay, number 4. All right, number 4. Also, if you know Adi pretty well, that I have an athletic background, played football in college, and had a stint in the NFL, more than a stint, 5 years. Is that right? Between a few teams.
5 years, 5 years in a preseason, so almost 6. Yeah.
Wow, man, super cool. And we'll get into that a little bit later, as far as your background and how a professional athlete gets into global mobility and relocation. Super unique story. But okay, got a question for you. Would you rather be back in a game and you played defense, you played defensive back, and clock is winding down? The offense, the opposing team marching down the field. They have one last shot to get in the end zone. You're one-on-one on the team's number one receiver. Would you rather break that pass up to win the game, to hold on to the win, or would
Mm-hmm.
you rather have your best sales year ever for National Corporate Housing?
Best sales year ever for National Corporate Housing. I am no longer playing, and I'm no longer playing football, and I have a few of those memories already. They keep me warm at night, and they make for some great conversation. But I'd rather have the best year of my life.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm at National Corporate Housing right now.
Yeah, I like it. Good answer. Yeah, your eyes are up and forward. I like it. Okay, last question, number 5. Last question. I've asked this of a
Mm-hmm.
couple people too. Want to get your thinking whether you're more into travel or you're more into food or a foodie. So, would you rather? Would you rather? You got to pick. Would you rather have free international first class flights for the rest of your life, travel for free, first class internationally, or would you rather never have to pay a restaurant bill for the rest of your life? You eat for free wherever you go. Nicest restaurants you could think of.
Food or flights? Flights or food? I think I would take the international flights.
Yeah.
I, yeah, I've gotten a bug for travel, and I've started visiting some places and come back a different person or just a different perspective with each trip. So I think that would be what I do, and I've been spoiled enough to eat at a lot of good restaurants. And the funny thing is I tend to gravitate towards the same items on the menu. So I'm not adventurous in my food, but I'm more adventurous in my travel.
All right, I like it. Give me, and obviously travel's pretty restricted right now, understandably.
Yeah.
But give me, where have you traveled recently? Do you have a favorite, spot that you have gone to?
I mean, recently I haven't gone anywhere. If I can open that window, I did a trip to Cambodia and Angkor Wat and saw the temples in Angkor Wat, and
Yeah.
then went to the capital city of Phnom Penh, and then did a stint in Singapore, Costa Rica. But yes, Singapore, that part of Asia, I've loved that. That's awesome. That's amazing. This year was going to try to go to Cuba or um, Amsterdam for my birthday, but COVID decided to derail that. So
Yeah. Bummer. Next year.
that'll get put off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, next year.
Yeah, very cool. Well, that was the Fast Five, Adi. I think you passed with flying colors. I appreciate that. Boom. So, and we were talking earlier, the idea, I've done several of these before, and the idea really is to, get a better understanding of your journey and your journey to global mobility and relocation.
Mm-hmm.
And, Adi, one reason I wanted to reach out to you and chat with you was, one, I mean, we've had a chance to talk to each other a couple of times, but just wanted to get to know you better and know your story. And two, I just think kind of at first glance, your story is pretty unique within our relocation space, coming from, and we don't have to get into too many details as far as your playing career, but, coming from a professional athletic background, obviously those careers can't last forever. You can't play football forever. Kind of give us a peek into what your mindset, your headspace was, when you knew that playing football was no longer an option. What was that process like as far as entering the workforce? So what were you thinking?
No, that's a great question. And it's different. Yeah, it's a different process. I was 28 years old. I'd done 4 years in Washington, spent a year in Chicago, and then I had just done a preseason with the Pats in New England. I got released at the end of the preseason, which was expected, and I was kind of sitting there trying to figure out what I was going to do. My agent, I'd gotten a couple offers from Canadian teams to play in the CFL. My agent said, "Hey, let's go to the CFL." A lot of guys go play for a year or two, and then they come back to the NFL. Then I sat long and hard and thought about it. I was still young, I was 28, had time to figure out what I wanted to do. And I realized, my dream and my passion was to play in the NFL. That's just what I wanted to do. I love football, but it was to play in the NFL. I got to play against fantastic people, meet some of the best people I've ever met, learn a lot about myself. And I was like, all right, time to go into something else. And so I wanted to leave on my own terms and not just continue to try to keep playing and keep playing. And I'm a type of person who doesn't really tend to look back. So I decided at that point that I was just going to go full steam. I don't think I watched football for 2 years. It was a little bit too tough.
Wow.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 years. Went to grad school, got my MBA. Knew I was going to probably go into sales. So I worked at Wells Fargo, which has a fantastic kind of sales training program.
And when you
cut my teeth there.
Sorry to cut you off, but when you said that you knew you were going to go into sales, what made you think that? Did you just think that you always had kind of a personality for it, or had you had any previous experience? Or
I just think it opens up a lot of different fields. Even within the mobility space now, I've got a really diverse set of clients that I work with in different industries, and I like the idea of creating solutions that meet business needs. I always have. And I think a funny part, when I was actually deciding what I was going to do, I found an article that gotten written about me when I was a senior in college. And they were asking me, what I was going to do. And in this article, which was 6 years prior, they said, what do you want to do? Or you see yourself? I was like, maybe I'll play some football afterwards. If not, I'll get my MBA and go into sales. And so it was funny because it circled back. So
spoke that into existence. Yeah.
Speak it into existence. It's a big part of what we do.
Oh yeah, for sure. So Wells Fargo. So, that's a great entry point, obviously a big organization, reputable company. You
Yeah.
know, at that point, did you see yourself, you know, with Wells for a long time, or you're just like, you know, this is good experience, let's move on to the next thing? You know, what were you thinking there?
I met fantastic people there. It's just great people. The finance industry was great. I loved it. Great people. And then I ended up taking that trip to Cambodia, and I just decided that I wanted to do something different. I wanted to save the world, change the world, do something a little bit more impactful. So I ended up moving back to DC, the DC area, got connected with a fantastic gentleman who was running an NGO that was taking low income housing across the US and giving them mesh wireless networks
Mm.
so that these folks in those communities would learn basic digital skills, Excel, Word, and resume building, things of that nature to help kind of bridge the digital divide. And so I ended up running a program for them for a year and a half because I just decided, you know, I'd had a lot and received a lot and I wanted to give back. And so I did that for a year and a half, which was fantastic. Great people. Helped me to shift my mindset from, you know, finance and numbers to people equations and what it's like to impact people and do that for a regular job on a daily basis.
I think that's a great example. I was going to say, I think that's a great example too, because I think that, I don't know if you fall into this at all, but sometimes for me as, you know, a salesperson, I can fall into being more inward looking, like, well, what are my numbers looking like? What are my bookings looking like? You know, what I need to, and it's just a role like that, you know, like you mentioned, your travel, giving that perspective, it's much more outward looking, you know, outward focused, you know, and if we're being honest, I mean, that's really what should be a large component of a good salesperson, should be outward focused, right? Solution based, you know, being consultative with people and the whole thing.
Yeah, you know, I think it's one of those things. You're right. I mean, you hit it right on. You want to be, and that's the process I have now. And I know I can attribute it to a lot of the things I did in the past, right? I'm consultative in my process and my approach and my conversations. And I really want to have a holistic view of what we do and how we do it. You know, it's more than just staying here. There's the transition experience that's all tied to it. But I was able to really develop a lot of that instead of inward looking outward in that job, working at a nonprofit. And that industry doesn't get, I don't think it gets the just the understanding and the acceptance and the respect that it should for what they do, what that industry does for so many people on such a large scale. It was humbling, but it was good. I loved it.
Awesome.
Love that one.
So where did you, where was the next step after that role?
The next step after that, I did a little stint recruiting, just to, you know, figure out what I wanted to do. And it was a bridge. And then I went and got recruited to run sales for a technology company that was putting kind of like a Facebook for seniors in the technology into senior homes. So I cut my teeth on the technical arena, did that for a year and a half. That was fantastic. It was a big learning experience, kind of switching over from selling finance to going to an NGO to now being tech focused. But I like to be well-rounded.
Three very different industries too, right?
Yeah, I have a real eclectic personality.
Yeah.
The people who end up getting to know me find that out. I am a little bit all over the place, but that's because, you know, football gives you the ability to just see a lot and get introduced to a lot. So after that, I just wanted to kind of experience everything on my own. So did that for a few years. And then during the time, I had known the president of National Corporate Housing and a couple of people of National. And we had always been just in conversation. And I won't mention his name here because I didn't tell him I was going to, so I won't. But I kind of consider him like the Yoda, the Yoda, like he's like Yoda of just consultative business solutions.
Okay.
You know, you talk to him and you understand the valuation of your people and the valuation of your product, and what your service means to not only your clients, but to your employees. And so in talking with him, we were in different industries, and talking with him, I just gravitated towards him, loved what he was saying, loved how he was saying it, and interviewed with National, and that was 6 years ago. And I've been here for 6 years plus. So it has been an interesting journey. The reason I stay at National is we're a fantastic company. We do things the right way. We treat our clients well. We treat our customers well. We treat our employees very well. And, you've got a diverse population. I talk to all different kinds of industries, and it's fun. I actually have probably too much fun in what I do, but it's good. That's good.
Do you think, those sales positions in basically 3 different industries, 3 different backgrounds, do you think that has all kind of come together to, support what you do now at National?
Yeah, I have clients in each one of those industries that I worked at before.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's a direct tie-in because you understand, right? In the nonprofit space, they're looking for value. They have to maximize every dollar.
Right.
And when they maximize every dollar, they also have to maximize the experience because they're taking folks who may be disadvantaged, maybe not, but they want them to have a very specific experience. And so we're able to craft that. In the banking sector, that sector got rocked a lot with the financial meltdown that happened previously. It's rebuilt itself, but they really value their employees because their employees push out a ton and they do a ton of work and they have a dollar amount associated with each employee.
Right.
And so they understand the value of bringing them in, keeping them happy and letting them focus on work. And then tech is what rules everything. And I think that what's happened over the last several months with COVID, unfortunately, has really pushed us in terms of technology. Everybody does Zoom calls. My kids have Zoom calls. My 6-year-old has 8 Zoom calls on her remote learning days as she switches from subject to subject to subject.
Right.
Technology continues to get pushed to the forefront. So understanding what goes into that process is huge.
Yeah, so that's a great segue. So kind of in closing, Ade, you've been doing in this role for 6 years. How do you see, obviously the future of sales and the sales cycle, typically we're in the household goods space, so it's a little different from what you guys are doing, but, our sales cycle is really, if you meet someone for the first time, it's usually at an event or a conference or a regional group, something like that. And then you set up, probably several in-person meetings, whether it's a presentation or best and final, something like that. What do you think, how do we leverage technology now? What do you think we can do? I'm thinking just now through the end of the year, but I think this is going to impact us, as far as us as getting in touch with people and building relationships. It's going to impact us for a while to come, I think.
I think it does. And I think it is going to impact us for a while, but I think there's different mediums that we're going to have to be more open to in terms of letting people see the solutions that we have. When it comes to building relationships, letting them see the type of personality that you have. Some people who work with me have seen my emails. I am not standard format. There will be some Bitmojis. There are Bitmojis that come up in my emails. I can't help it.
Yeah.
And I think I think we're all going to have to get more creative and add some flavor to the regular course of our interactions with folks. I think now people are reassessing, their jobs, what they do. Companies are reassessing how they're going to move forward. So strategically, they're looking to partner as they reassess, how are we going to really, because when business opens back up, and people are still doing it now, we're still seeing travel volume. We're still seeing very specific groups that are going. Retail is still traveling. Anything that's government contracted is still traveling. And there are some technology companies that are still traveling because they need to be on site. They need to touch the customer and touch the customer interface with them. Right. So, I think that's going to happen. But for the interaction points to what you mentioned, David, we are going to have to be more creative. And I think, we're going to have to do things. Can't just send a standard email, slide it across and say, we're going to have to be creative. And, Instagram, LinkedIn, text message, whatever other venues that you can do, or if it's an email, having different live links to short videos, anything that we can do to just really connect with our clients and connect with those who may need our service but don't understand it is key.
Yeah, I think to your point earlier, talking about a holistic solution, not only as far as, your service delivery, but then I think just as like a person too. Like this is just a small example, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I gotta be honest with you, I probably had written off Facebook a while ago, and I was like, man, I just really don't want to even interact with it that much. But really the past year, I've done a lot more with it because there are a lot of clients and prospective clients and just people in our industry that are very active on Facebook. So I'm like, well, gosh, I guess, I mean, that I probably need to be more involved in that. So, it's just not the standard, like me trying to send an email to someone. Hopefully they get, a better perspective of who I am, not only as a professional, but just as a person too. So that's something I think a lot about, whether that's right or wrong.
Well, it matters now. And I think, we're seeing it. People care about what you do. You see companies talking about their D&I, their diversity and inclusion policies, where they stand on matters. Things that people did not used to talk about in a professional arena are now being bridged, and they're necessary. Clients want to understand, hey, if we're going to do work with you, we're a progressive company,
right,
or we're a conservative company. We need a company that matches those values. And I think more so than ever, corporate and social responsibility are intertwined, and we can't escape one and not address it and talk about the other.
Right. Yeah, that's well said.
So, yeah.
Well, Ade, I appreciate it. That's a good spot for us to close. Thanks so much for joining me, man. I really appreciate you taking the time. Again, everyone stay tuned for our follow-up video on Just Sneakers. We're just going to do a closet tour.
Just Sneakers, closet tour, no judging, just fun.
That's right. Awesome. Well, for Ade Jimoh, I'm David Bunnell. Thanks so much for catching up.
Thanks, David.